Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 4 of Former Employees of Lost Scots. And today we have David Keys, some of you might know. Hello David.
Good afternoon, Richard.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Very
Excellent.
well, thank you.
When did you start and when did you finish?
I started in August 1969
69.
and I finished in probably about April 1985, so
Okay.
16 years or whatever, yeah.
So anyone who doesn't know you, how are they going to know you? What was your...
Well, I was extremely good looking for one thing.
A good sense of humour.
And a very good sense of humour. I started off as an apprentice.
So you were time served.
Yeah, I was time served apprentice. In them days we did a 4-year, well up to you were 21, so 20 I mean, 20? Yeah, 20.
Okay.
Mixed up there. And so 20. But I started in the apprentice school, which was in the main works on the mezzanine floor of the main works, right in the middle of the school, where we had a purpose-built training centre. There was sort of various sections, but the main sections were machining, fitting and winding, electrical and welding, so they were the main areas. And what you do, you started there and you'd go for approximately a month at a time in each department.
Right, yeah.
And so you do 4 weeks in machining, where you'd learn the basic turning, milling, shaping machines, all the rest of it. And then you'd go into fitting, where you'd make various objects and by hand. And then you'd go in for another month into the winding department, where you'd learn how to wind electric motors. You'd do soldering, brazing, welding, arc welding,
all the basics.
All the basic stuff,
Yeah.
yeah. And by the time the year was up, you'd covered all these departments probably 2 or 3 times. If there was something particularly that you liked, then you probably have extra time in there.
So can you remember roughly how many in your year when you started?
I think there was about 25, 26. That was like an average year.
Was it? Yeah.
They were all a mixture of craft apprentices, technician apprentices, and then on top of that there were some graduates, some students.
Yeah.
In them days they didn't take people on in other bits like we did later on, like youth training schemes and things like that.
Yeah.
But they were all craft apprentices of various skills and levels. Some had been very good and had a practical experience at school, and others had knew nothing basically.
Yeah.
But it was good because we were all new. Most people didn't know each other, and you built up some really good friends who you knew over the years. Unfortunately, like everything else, you lose contact with them. But at the time, it was a great place to work. Actually, really enjoyable.
So that was your 4 years.
That was the first year.
First year, yeah.
First year was there, and then we were going to City College in them days, and I did the mechanical technicians, the City and Guilds mechanical technicians course, which was a 4-year course.
Okay.
And that was all day and an evening, so it was like day and a half every week.
Blimey. Yeah.
And it's equivalent to an HNC at the end of it, so it was good qualifications, and that was at the City College. So
Yeah.
and then after the year in the apprentice school, we then moved down to down on the shop floor. In them days, they used to have a thing called modules, where you did a module on various things. So I did a machining module.
Right.
So I went down into the main machining shop, which is probably not far from where you work now,
Who can you remember with?
Bay 3 or 4, I think.
Who was you working with there?
John Neville was
was
the chap who ran it. Austin Stannard was the man overall in charge of all the training there. And then I think the man who ran the training school was Harry Fuller. And then there was a chap called Girdlestone who ran the welding department. And Bob Brooker, probably a lot of people know Bob Brooker. He worked the machine shop part of it. But yeah, so I was with John Neville, and there was about 10 or 12 of us down there in the bay there, where we had machining, lathes, millers, various other things there. And we did mostly production work there. Up in the apprentice school, it was nearly all making tools, various things for yourself, and the odd little bit of home rule for people, and a few production jobs, but only small stuff. But when we were on the shop floor, that was basically a year of doing production work. So it could be anything from castings to aluminium, all sorts of things. So
I find that intriguing that you then what you became later, where you then went on to become. So you were like, so what am I trying to say? Where you became obviously the teacher, didn't you?
yeah, well that was the first year, and then the next year. Someone deemed that I was good at what I was doing and said, "You can go. We want you to go up to the tool room up at Salhouse Road."
Ah, so you did tour room.
And so I did a tool room apprentice, which was very good, really, because that was making jigs, dies, fixtures, all sorts of very accurate work.
Yeah.
Now I was good at the machining side, but to be honest, I was crap at the fitting side.
Okay. Fair enough.
And so when I came out of my time when I was just over 20 actually, they offered me a machining job in the tool room, which was still very good.
Who was in the tour room then?
There was a Dennis Potter, Keith Franklin. I think
Keith
he's
Franklin,
still there,
yeah.
isn't he?
No, he's not there now, but
No,
yeah, I do
Keith
remember him.
Franklin.
Yeah.
Who else was there? Donny, someone another. Yeah, there was quite.
Yeah.
Stannard's son was actually there as well.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and it was good. Nice place to work, nice atmosphere, nice side of people. And we were in a tour up in, I don't know if you ever been up South Road, but they had hangars. They were old aircraft hangars.
Never got up there.
And we were in number 12, and then there was 9, which was a machine shop, and then was 2 of the other ones were where they did all the press work, all the punches and dies and heavy presses out there. But I was in the tool room, and then I got to I was nearly coming up for 20, just over 20, and I thought, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. This is, I've got more exciting things to do than this. And then there was a job advertised on the board for a training instructor in the apprentice school. And I thought, well, I'm only just 20, I've just come out of time. But anyway, I can't lose nothing, so I got the application form, filled the application form, and I had the interview, and lo and behold, they offered me the job.
At 20?
Yeah, 20.
Wow.
So there I was up in the apprentice school in September, where all these young apprentices, 2 years younger than me turn up. In fact, there was graduates there were students who were older than me.
Wow.
But I'm there, supposed to be the expert, showing them what to do.
So you weren't the only teacher as such?
No, I was in the machining side of it again.
So
and then once again there was a fitting side, which was a chap called Mel Tuddenham. And then there was a winding department, and
they'd have been upstairs.
Ray
with
Woods
you.
was in charge of that.
Upstairs, yeah.
Same place, exactly the same place, same setup.
Yeah.
And that was great. I really enjoyed that, and I think I did that for about 8 years.
8, yeah.
And it was nice. The only problem with the job was you got these raw apprentices, some with virtually no experience.
You
got them up to a good standard, and like we've just been talking to Steve Crummins. Steve Points, and he was one of really good chap. You got him up to really good. You got into some really good projects with him, and lo and behold, then off they go down on the shop floor. And then September the 1st, in comes another 25 or so.
Yeah, Steve didn't stay on the shop floor. That was such that he went. To
no,
the
he
office.
went up into the office, into the.
But he's still a good machinist, or
he was a fantastic machinist.
Yeah.
And so that was the only downside of the job, but it was good. And we had some great time. We used to enter all the interdepartmental sports like football and cricket. And so I not so much the football, but I used to get all the lads in and we played cricket against other departments. And good atmosphere, good load of. It was good. It was really enjoyable.
Yeah. So when the lads come through, I mean, could you spot one that possibly wasn't going to cut the mustard, so to speak?
Yeah. Well,
obviously you don't have to name any names, but
no, there were some who you thought never would make it, and some had no idea. And also, what we did
some would
later
surprise
on,
you as well, I suppose.
Yeah, we took because at that time the apprentices were paid for by government. All companies used to pay a levy,
right?
So they pay a percentage of their gross income into a training board. Ours was the engineering industry training board,
right?
And so they pay 0.1 or whatever it was into a board, and then that money was used to pay for the apprenticeships. So a company didn't do any training; they'd still have to pay that money.
Right.
But Lawrence Scotts, who did a lot of training, that most of the apprentices was probably paid for. Certainly, the first couple of years was paid for by the government.
Yeah.
And then they decided to bring out these various other schemes, like Youth Training Scheme, where they'd get people school kids who were leaving school with no qualifications or very little, and they'd come into something like Lawrence Scott's and learn the basic trades again.
Oh, I didn't know we did that.
Yeah, and they did that for a few years. Some were then offered, some of the really good ones were offered apprenticeships again.
Because you never know what.
Well, it was great for
Yeah.
Lawrence and Scott because they could say, well, we're 50 kids in and we'll take 10 of the best out of it. So it weeded out all the other.
Well,
and
why
then
not?
some,
You're putting the work into training them.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
some of the others would then go into stores or
Yeah.
become fork truck drivers or various other things. So quite a
Yeah.
few were employed within the company,
Yeah.
and some just didn't want to do it.
Well, like you said earlier, we were one of the biggest employers in Norwich at some point.
Yeah, there was 2,500 when I was there.
2,500.
And they were. At
I
the
guess that was over the three.
Yeah, the main works was obviously the main one
Yeah.
where there was probably 1,500. Thorpe Road where they did the control gear. There was a foundry. There was what else? There was a pattern shop up there. There was
Yeah.
plate where they did plating up there. All them. So yeah, that had quite a few. And then Sellhouse Road, which we just talked about, had their various things. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was a big concern in them
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my last things I did in the apprentice school was they had the Lord Mayor's possession, and someone who's reading might have even helped on that. And it was the Lord Mayor's possession. And I was already by this time I was leaving, so my last big job was to make a float for the Lord Mayor's possession.
Yeah.
So I got some of the brighter apprentices to design it, and then we got all the YTS boys to make it, and the YTS boys also performed on it. And we had a fantastic float, and it had a big wheel
I've
on
seen a
it.
picture of that on
Yeah.
Facebook. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
big wheel on it with a boy in it dressed as a mouse going around.
Yeah, I think I've seen
there
that
was
picture of it.
levers and gears and things going up and down, smoke coming out
Have you
everywhere.
seen a picture of it?
I haven't. No,
No, I'll have to show you in a
Oh,
minute.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
And then then it all went into this big box, and then out the end of the box were coming out helium balloons.
Okay.
And all it was there was two boys in the box blowing them up, and all we could hear as this thing was going on, I was so they kept breathing in. So I don't know how high they actually got that day, but
Yeah, pretty.
but yeah, that was, and everyone said it was the best, by far the best float in the competition.
But
We didn't win it
no.
because it had nothing to do with the theme of the float. But
Oh,
it was a great float though.
Yeah. I will show you that picture.
And then I did that, and then I became training officer. I was a training officer there for about 2 or 3 years,
Okay.
and I used to run courses like abrasive wheel regulations,
Yeah.
kinetic handling, lifting, manual handling. I did a crane course and started teaching people the cranes and testing them so everyone was up to a standard.
Yeah.
And,
So you sort of stayed there for a bit longer.
yeah,
And you could see the boys that you'd been through. You could see them on the shop floor.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It must have been great.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was nice. It was a nice atmosphere.
Yeah.
And the training officer's job was okay, but by the time I'd done about 3 years of that, I could see what was happening with Lawrence Scott's, unfortunately, was going downhill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's been like this for years.
And they were started sort of like talking about redundancies and everything else.
Yeah.
And I thought I really need to start looking for something else. And we just happened to see in the paper this job for an engineer surveyor for an insurance company.
All right, so you made the jump.
Yeah, and that was basically going around various places like Lawrence and Scott's, or it could be anywhere, and inspecting lifting equipment. So it could be a lift, it could be a crane, it could be a fork truck, all to do with statutory regulations. It was and I had I went for an interview in Leicester, and I thought, well, that went quite well, but I did lack the experience. And then by that time they'd asked for redundancies in Scott's, and I thought, well, I had young children at that time, I can't really afford to just leave. And then next thing I had another interview and got the job. But by that time the redundancies were gone.
Missed out.
So I missed out on redundancies by about two or 3 weeks.
You just don't know, do you?
But it was a good move because I had a very good
Well, that's
career.
all worked out for you. That's
Yeah,
good. Yeah. But you still kept in contact with others, because we're obviously today we're in Martin Balls's man cave, as he calls it.
Yeah.
He's kindly lent that to us.
Yeah.
But you stayed in contact with people like Martin and Stevie Points.
Yeah, no, that's right, you do, yeah. No, I must admit, Lawrence Scott was a great place to do an apprenticeship as well, because it had such a variety of industries, from heavy machining down to a foundry, to big fabrication, to electronic work, all sorts of things. So, and you could hopefully get whatever you wanted out of it, yeah.
And I don't think I spoke to many people outside of not just these interviews, but anyone who got fond memories, you know, of their time as an apprentice and the things that went on in the apprentice school. It's just one big family, wasn't it?
Yeah, and you know, like all, you get a load of 16, 17-year-old boys together. We used to muck about and do.
How was that for you then, as a teacher, so to speak?
Well, I was an apprentice. I was great.
See,
But I know I used to muck about with the blokes as well, to a degree.
yeah,
Yeah,
you went to draw the
Or
line.
you take a blind eye sometime. But yeah, you think, you know, and certainly, you know, you used to tease the boy suddenly came in with a love bite on his neck. Well, that was it. He got it all the rest of the day, sort of thing.
Because the boys were churned over every year, weren't they? So
Yeah.
that'd be the same sort of shenanigans, if you like.
And you built up, you had to build up. They had to respect what you were doing.
They've got to do that.
And
yeah.
I think at that time we still insisted that they call you Mister.
Why
Mr.
not?
King,
Yeah.
you know, rather than David or something. Probably nowadays you probably wouldn't bother, but in them days that helped a bit.
Yeah.
And you had the odd rogue and the odd one we had to get rid of, but not most of them stayed and most of them finished their apprenticeship, you know, and then moved on. You know, Lawrence Scotts used to probably train 3/4 of the apprentices, engineers in Norwich at one time, because there was only Lawrence and Scott's, Baldings. Up at near the airport way, and then there was Eagert with his East Anglian training people, and they were the only ones who did the first year off the job training. So all the small companies, if they took apprentice, would have to send their child to one of these places.
Now you got well, Musset's has gone now, but you can name Musset's, Miltech, places at Weatherford's has obviously gone now, but everyone knows someone who's that connection that has gone through their time at Scots.
Oh yeah.
Everyone knows someone.
No, it was I thoroughly enjoyed it there, and you know, but things had to move. I couldn't stay there because what was happening, unfortunately. It was a good move on my case. So.
That's good.
And I had 26 years working for this insurance, where I became sort of like the area manager and ran
and
the
you're
area.
retired now?
Yeah, I retired. Like they offered me redundancy when I was 59, nearly 60, and I thought I didn't want to go because it was a good job. I was well paid. I had a lovely company car, and it was a great job. I had a great team around East Anglia. I had sort of 25, 30 surveyors I used to have to look after, and it was a great job. But I thought, why not? Financial advisor, and he said, "Why do you want to work?" You know, so I
gardening to do and stuff. You keep busy, do you?
Yeah, a bit of fishing and a bit. I did a few gardening jobs and things. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. But
excellent. Excellent.
I remember one thing when I was up at apprentice school. We had, watching the kids and we just muck about. You know, the old thing about stretching. One of the apprentices on between two vices.
Oh no, what's that?
Well, you just get his overalls like that, stick that in a vice and that one, and then we'd leave him there over lunchtime while we all went and had lunch, and then this poor lad would be stuck there. Or I used to put the stuff, that horrible green stuff you use when you're tapping. Make a screw for it. Used to put it inside their overalls, you know, and all naughty things like that. Yeah.
Was that when you were apprentice or as a teacher?
I'm not saying. I'm not saying really.
I've heard some stories.
But no, I was always been a sort of jovial and happy sort of person, and or ever mucking about.
Wow, it's like at the end of the day, you know where to draw the line.
Definitely.
Excellent. I'm gonna just have a look at how long
20 minutes.
We're done all right. Yeah. Some of these what Steve's brought in. What's this one? Is this the type of thing you would have made?
Yeah, that's a pulley extractor for you put that over a pulley, screw that up, and it pulls the pulley off on your car or anything. It's just a general one.
This is
this is the sort of thing they'd make. This all be in the machine shop, and they sort of turn that and mill the slots in, and the only filing would be the radius. And
this is the one that Steve points to.
Yeah.
You're gonna mark that out of 10.
It looks very good actually. I'd have to measure it first on mine and check the accuracy. But,
and he said you made this one as well.
Yeah, just a little wrench, a tap wrench or a pipe wrench. Yeah, I used to make
these are still. There's plenty of these knocking around.
Oh yeah. Well, I used to make all the stuff that they need on the shop floor.
Yeah, why not?
And
learning that
and then
trade,
they could obviously buy their own, but they used to supply them in. They used to supply them with a basic toolkit. So when they came in, they'd get a hammer, and they'd get a mallet, and they'd get files and things like that, and the basic stuff, and which was theirs to keep.
Yeah.
And then they make a toolbox, which we can just see behind me here. They make a toolbox and put it all in. So when they did go out on the shop floor,
Well, I think Steve said this is the only thing he hasn't used.
yeah, as a trammel, isn't it? That's for
Yeah.
doing big circles or
Yeah.
scribing the circles on.
I should say still use. I mean, he still uses these other things, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's like I made stuff. I've still got stuff. In fact, now because my son's in the engineering, so he's taken all my stuff now off me, so I don't use. So
Yeah. Pay good money for some of them bits.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They stand the test of the time, like.
Yeah.
So everything's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're healthy. Yeah, everything's all right.
Yeah, I'm very healthy at the moment. Yeah,
Yeah.
we had the COVID like most people haven't had it, but we got over that. The wife's still quite ill with it, mind you, but
Okay.
I'm very well.
And the reunions, I think I've seen you down
I
there.
went to. I've always stayed clear of that. I don't know why, and no reason really. But Martin asked me year before now.
So was that
wasn't
the
it?
first one you'd been to?
First one I've ever been
Yeah,
to,
well,
and it was
see you at the
great
next one
because
then.
there was a lot of people came up to me, and I sort of recognised you. And as soon as they say the name, I'm good at names, and I go, oh yeah, I remember you, and you were that funny little boy or whatever, Yeah, that was good. I really enjoyed it.
Roger
actually.
Townsend, was he one of your boys?
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, Roger was.
He would have been, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, he was
I'm trying
there.
to think who I can think of.
Trevor Baggett, is he still there?
He's not there, no.
No, he was in the February. He was apprenticed with me. There was a chap. The other boys I was apprenticed with was like Lenny Williams. I know he went to Anglin Winders. Charlie's a chap, or David Chap. He went to Anglin Winders.
Yeah.
Martin Watson, he was another one. I think nearly all the engineers in Anglin Winders were Lawrence and Scots at one time.
Yeah. What about Colin Powley,
No.
Tom Binley?
Tom Binley, I remember Tom Binley.
He's only
yeah.
just left.
Oh really?
Yeah,
God.
retired as well.
Oh, it makes
Yeah.
you feel old.
Oh
now,
yeah,
doesn't
sorry
it?
about that.
Yeah. Well, then again, I was probably one of the first ones. Was Tom Binley?
Yeah, I guess
so.
so,
If
yeah.
I'm 69, he probably is 65ish now, isn't he?
Yeah. Quickly do my maths, yeah.
Yeah. So it was
Crazy, and how time goes, isn't it?
absolutely.
Yeah. So you're going to see you at the next reunion.
I've definitely been there whenever we have that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, make sure that happens next
Now
year.
I'm a film star as well, of course.
Well, I'm going to leave it there, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank
Cheers.
you.